Banfield is the most important witness to the events of April 18th, 19th. No one knows the perpetrator better than she does, and nobody has more information about the events leading up to the mass casualty.
In today's report, we hit you with the latest on the Trudeau RCMP scandal into Canada's deadliest mass shooting, as well as what happened in proceedings today with the Mass Casualty Commission, which is the inquiry looking into that scandal and that shooting. And we're going to talk to you about concerns that have been raised about the integrity of the commission and read through a scolding letter from a second RCMP staffer who supports the allegations that RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki did interfere with Nova Scotia RCMP's investigation into this mass shooting on behalf of the Trudeau government. Public inquiries proceedings for June 30th just ended, and we have just come out of the Halifax Convention Centre where they have been held. Today was a jam-packed full day. The primary focus was on policing in rural communities as well as firearms and how they are used in those communities. A roundtable discussion was had, much like the coverage we had on the last proceedings that took place here. They had experts in the field of psychology, they had researchers as well come together to try to find and learn from what happened so that Canada can better manage situations that cause mass trauma, like Canada's deadliest mass shooting. We also had a chance to speak with lawyer Michael Scott again. He is the attorney for many of the family to the victims. Last time we talked to him in a report you can see below, he raised concerns about the allegations of political interference, in particular the fact that notes that had those allegations from Superintendent Darren Campbell were withheld by the Department of Justice. But today he raised another concern. The Commission has released their list of upcoming witnesses over the months of July and August. RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki, who is at the heart of the scandal, will in fact be testifying this summer during the Commission, as well as Superintendent Darren Campbell, whose notes detailed the allegations against her. And on that list is Wortman's former common law partner, Lisa Banfield. But here's the thing, Scott is raising concerns about this because he is not directly able to question Miss Banfield when she comes.
There are a few principles more fundamental to our understanding of procedural fairness and justice than we ask the questions, provided they're relevant and evidence. But I've certainly never seen anything like this. And not only do we have to ensure that justice is done, but it has to be seen to be done. When we start blocking participants from being involved in a meaningful way, it really undermines the perception that the process is transparent.
Of course, we reached out to the Commission to better understand why this is the case, and this is a summary of what they said to me in a statement, and you can find that by clicking on the link in the description to this report. The Commission's statement included the following. Given Ms. Banfield's situation as a survivor of the perpetrator's violence and in light of the quality and quantity of information she has already provided to the Commission through 5 detailed interviews, the Commission believes it is in public interest that all questions asked of Ms. Banfield from participants be asked by Commission counsel. Legal counsel for all participants have the opportunity to provide questions to Commission counsel prior to her testimony. Participant counsel will then have additional opportunities to provide further questions to Commission. They added that it's important to remember that a public inquiry is not a trial, nor is it about assigning blame. Public inquiries are about change. You can find the full statement at the written report, which is linked in the description box below. So that is the Commission side of things, but Scott also had something to say about the fact that Ms. Banfield was in fact abused by Wortman, but why he still should be able to question her.
But we're certainly very concerned that in the rush to fulfill the Commission's mandate to address issues of intimate partner violence, that we're going to miss the fact that Ms. Banfield is the most important witness to the events of April 18th, 19th. No one knows the perpetrator better than she does, and nobody has more information about the events leading up to the mass casualty.
Now, I gotta tell you, as Lincoln behind the camera and myself are walking around, asking questions in the community, learning what's going on in the commission, reading lots of stuff, it's starting to look like everybody is just pointing fingers at everybody. It's the RCMP's fault, it's the commission's fault, it's the government's fault. But something interesting somebody inside told me, who prefers to remain unnamed, is that if Wortman was still alive, the focus would be on him and the trial, and he would be to blame. I thought that was just an interesting perspective there as well. Now, what's the latest on the Trudeau RCMP scandal connected to this mass shooting? Well, in my last report, I mentioned that another attorney named Jamie Van Wart requested that 6 documents tied to the April 28th, 2020 meeting with Commissioner Brenda Lucki and other senior management in the RCMP be made public. That included emails as well as a letter. Those documents have in fact been made public on the Mass Casualty Commission's website. I want to read some of the letter to you. It is insane. It is a letter from a second RCMP member, this time the former Director of Communications, Leah Scanlon, and she is basically respectfully scolding Commissioner Lucki for how she treated these police who were trying to do their best in dealing with this mass shooting. You got to hear some of this letter, but again, I will link the full thing in the report. The letter starts off by praising Superintendent Darren Campbell, saying that he completed a lengthy press conference to provide information to the public while protecting the integrity of the ongoing investigation. She says Darren was exceptional, the best she's ever seen do this before. He achieved exactly what we set out to accomplish and did so with poise, class, compassion, and courage, adding that Darren restored a sense of pride within our membership and represented the force in a manner that we should hold as the standard. She says shortly after the press release, she was summoned on behalf of Commissioner Brenda Lucki to have a meeting immediately. She suspected that it may have to do with the guns, given that she was asked if Darren could speak about the guns less than 2 hours before the press conference was scheduled to take place. Adding that from an investigational standpoint, those details could not be discussed publicly. She says she had indicated in an email that the caliber of the guns would not be included in Darren's remark, and that it was important for her to point out that in the division they had made a commitment that guided all of their public releases of information, and that commitment was to the families of the victims, that prior to any public release, they would ensure that the families were informed first to prevent them from being re-victimized by hearing new information in the media. Scanlon then accuses Lucki of personally attacking her and the work that they had done. Says that Lucki said that she perceived their actions as a blatant sign of disrespect, adding that Lucki said they had let the boys down, referring to the 2 young boys whose parents were brutally murdered from the mad gunman. Scanlon adds that Lucki had informed them of the pressures and conversations she had had with then Minister Bill Blair, and that they then clearly understood this was related to the upcoming passing of the gun legislation. Can you believe that? What kind of twisted and sick mind is it if Commissioner Brenda Lucki used those 2 boys who had just sat there for hours after their parents had been murdered by Wortman as a tool to try to manipulate and shame these RCMP members into doing her bidding to further the Liberal government's gun ban agenda on legal firearm owners, which Wortman was not? And special thank you to everybody who's come together to help us be able to do these reports. You guys have been donating at firelucky.com so that we could afford the economy flights to be here, the affordable accommodation, the meals on the go, and the transportation. Thank you so much. I can't stress that enough, because independent media needs to be all over this story. Not that we're profiting, but that we are covering our expenses so we're able to bring you important news just like this. I'm Drea Humphrey, and this is Rebel News. Did you know that we also have a petition that you can sign to demand that Commissioner Brenda Lucki be fired from her position? If you're interested in that, please go and sign the petition that thousands have already at firelucky.com.